today I'm joined by Debbie Brazier, who's a running coach and a runner herself. So we'll start off with Debbie. A question I ask everybody: How did you get into running?
How did I get into running? I ran at school. I was forced to run at school. And it was always the short distance, the 100-meter kids that were the cool kids. I was rubbish at short distance. And I was always put in the long distance, which I hated at the time. And so I didn't do much more running. And then it was after my first job down in Newcastle from here, Great North Run. I got an entry into the Great North Run and I started running. I ran to the gym first and did a whole workout at the gym, including going on a treadmill, and thought, this is stupid. I'm enjoying the outside stuff more than I'm enjoying the treadmill stuff and the gym work. And I've spent more and more time running outside. And I did the Great North Run. Absolutely loved it, buzzing. And that was back in about 98, I would say.
Okay.
And I got the bug, and I've just been running, been running ever since. Even through the 2 kids, I ran most of my pregnancies, got back straight into it as soon as possible, and have been lucky enough not to have been injured too seriously. The odd little niggle after an event or something. So yeah, that's it. And I find for me, it's my headspace, it's getting out in nature, it's all those things that make you feel good.
Going back, you just said you were forced to run at school. Did you not enjoy it?
I was fairly sporty, but I wasn't competitive. I think it was always, I just let the kids doing the 100 meters, like, I'm not going to win that. There's no point, I didn't know that I was naturally better at the long distance.
Yep.
And that's why my teacher obviously saw that. And then I realized later on, that's what I enjoyed doing. And I think for me, in my mind, it was all about track when I was a kid. I didn't realize there was this other world of running, which is more the trail running, the outdoor running, the long distance running, which is what I enjoy.
You enjoy running outside. We're sitting in your gym that we'll get onto at the
Yep.
moment. You've got a treadmill
I
there.
do indeed.
You mentioned you run on a treadmill. What do you prefer? Track, road, treadmill, trail?
Trail. Every time trail. But the treadmill here is incredibly helpful for what I'm hoping to move on to doing with my business. It's a very controlled environment. It enables me to be able to look at people, how they're running, how their form is, identify weaknesses and compensations, and to be able to adjust it inside and then move outside. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, you're saying you're looking at people, that's because you've just started your own business?
I have. Well, I'm in the process of it, yeah.
Yeah, and what's the name of it?
Okay, so the name of the business is BMA Running, which is Breathe, Move, Achieve. So that's the essence of running and movement. You're breathing, you move efficiently, and then you can achieve. So it is, I've been doing a course for the last 6 months through the running school, which is based, the head office is down in London. And that's run by a guy called Mike Antonades, who's been doing it for 30, 40 years now. It's a very inspiring centre place to go to see what they're doing with not just runners, but sort of rehabilitation of post-serious injury, stroke victims, head injuries and stroke, kids with attention problems, everywhere, every path of life. So it's all about just getting people moving properly. And once they're moving properly, they can then go and achieve their best. And I just really like that whole philosophy, which is why I've followed their course to become a certified running technique specialist. So that's what I'll be doing, hopefully. So I've now qualified. So I'm just...
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Had lots of guinea pigs coming through who have all been fantastic and really helpful. So now moving forward, that's it, trying to get the business running. So converted the garage space into my little gym.
So you said you have lots of guinea pigs so far. What, without naming names, what's the common theme between everybody has to improve this thing. Is there one, or is it everybody's different?
Everybody's different. Everyone's unique. Everyone's got their own running style. And that's what the nice thing is. And you're not trying to create robots, but you're trying to look at that individual and seeing if you can improve their efficiency. So the people, it was a whole cross section of guinea pigs I've had, from experienced runners who've run for years, who are performing well, but maybe I could perform better, can achieve better, to people who are new to running, looking to learn how to run, because no one is taught how to run. Everyone just puts on trainers and they head out the door. And some people are fortunate enough to activate the right muscles, run in the right form, and never get injured. But other people aren't so lucky and have the same niggles injuries over and over and over again. So the guinea pigs I've had a whole broad range. Also had a couple of kids as well who've come in with different, just wanting to be able to run better.
Do you find the kids know how to run better than the adults do?
Naturally, yeah.
They haven't learnt to not run properly yet.
Yeah, absolutely. They're naturally more active. They play, so they're activating muscles. They're not sitting at a desk job.
Yeah.
Where it's just all
slouching,
rushing out the door, straight from the office. Straight, I've got half an hour to do a run. They go out, don't warm up, get injured. No, kids are naturally better movers.
Yeah. And what, if they're so natural about it, what is it that they've been needing taught?
Well, I think, all kids have, well, especially nowadays, the problem is that more kids are sitting in front of an Xbox. Their parents may not be encouraging outdoor play in the same way. We're fortunate up here that we've got space and our kids can play, but in a city environment, especially post-COVID and lockdown, there's been a lot of kids who have been locked inside for a good few years, and the Xbox has been their playground.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more and more now kids, the obesity problem, all those things, and from an earlier age, they're getting characteristics that would normally have been from adults, because they're spending more time sitting down. They're not activating their muscles, their core, all those things that enable us to move, and as we're naturally designed to do. From when we were first created, we were running to catch our food, all the rest of it. Don't need to do that anymore. So.
And all those things that you're saying that kids, I guess they apply to adults as well.
Even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, even more so. I think just the nature of our lifestyles now, we've spent so much time misusing our body. We're not, even everyday jobs, we're not doing them the same way. We've got something to do it for us. So we were created to move. That's how we were created to walk miles and run and do, and all that movement is what stimulates your brain, makes it develop and changes, and it's so good for us. But I think people now are fed so much, and then they go out and they run and they get an injury, and because time is so precious, they don't want to recover, so they keep going and they compensate, and then there's something happens and they keep getting the same niggles.
If you think stereotypically running as your legs, but you mentioned Xbox, sitting at the desk and stuff like that. Do you find upper body has got more an influence than what people think it is?
Yeah, definitely, without doubt.
What can people be doing to activate that, prevent the injuries from that?
We move cross-laterally. So whatever our right hand does or left does, we have to do something with the left body. So we all walk along with a bag on our shoulder and a phone in our hand. So our arms aren't moving, and adults are particularly bad at this. So walking is supposed to use your arms because it helps you balance what your legs are doing. But so many of us have forgotten what to do with our arms because we're holding things. So when we go to run, for not using our arms at all. A lot of that seems to be the main problem, especially in adults, is the arms are just these things that are not really doing anything, or the shoulders are moving, and it's just not using the body efficiently, and or the shoulders are rolling, which is wasting so much energy when you're supposed to be moving forward, but you're wiggling around like this. So I think it's teaching showing people the importance of upper body and core strength and all those other things, and just relaxing. And yeah, it has whatever we do up here affects what happens down the rest of our body.
From doing your course, what's changed in your running?
Activating the right muscles. I think I was beginning to get, as I say, I was so lucky. I've, not had any real injuries with all the years of running, but I was beginning to find I was getting ITB problems and hip problems, and that was impacting knee, it was a thing. And there's that realization that I was using my anterior muscles, which was then putting pressure on my hips. So for me, it was learning to activate my strong muscles, which is my posterior muscles, the big fat, glutes and hamstrings, and learning to activate and how they're activated, doing what, activation exercises, and learning to cycle my legs up properly and not rely on these front muscles which tire, because they're not. So if you're doing an endurance thing, it's fine, you can keep going for a while, but it's going to catch up on you eventually if you're not using the proper muscles.
Do you recommend cross training, weight training, or anything other than just running?
Yeah, totally.
What would be, like you saying cycling the muscles? What they can't see in the camera is a bike sitting there.
Yeah, bikes and all sorts of things. So yeah, cross training is brilliant. I mean, I think beforehand, it's getting your body prepared. It's warming your body up, because if you're just sitting at your desk, you go out, your body's in a bit of a shock, and that's when injury happens, because you're then using the wrong muscles. So it's getting those muscles activated and going, okay, we're ready to do something here. The mind's going, okay, we're ready to do some exercise here. Nice, warm, activated, and then going out. So beforehand, doing some good dynamic warm up, including a lot of fast feet, which is something that I use a lot and it's shown to be very effective. So it's that proprioception, that adjusting to your environment, which you do naturally on trail running, but road runners don't naturally, because it's one directional. That they get very used to running in a one track, and the proprioception, that feedback, slows down. They don't need that. So to stimulate that reaction to their environment, so a lot of fast feet, I'd always say just implement that into your warm up at the beginning, your dynamic warm up, and then going out, run, a nice mobility stretching at the end, and then couple of strength sessions with some weights, light weights. Definitely recommend that, especially get older, or your muscles do atrophy a little bit quicker as you get, so it becomes more important to keep that muscle tone. And you can't go wrong with hill training. Does the same thing. I think, again, it's anything that challenges the muscles and activates the right muscles is all good.
You mentioned proprioception. What would you recommend shoe-wise, or like feeling the road, feeling the trail?
Anything you're comfortable in.
What do you run in?
At the moment, I'm running in some Newtons, but I generally just find something I'm comfortable in. I think personally, I wouldn't bother getting any correctional shoe or this, people. I think that's up to your body. By altering the way your feet are, you're going to affect it. It's going to react somewhere else. It's got to come out. So it's all about building your strength up.
Yeah.
So a good pair of comfortable neutral shoes, whatever you're happy in. Some people like a bit of a big drop. Depends what you drop. But I prefer fairly neutral 4 to 6. I just feel more comfortable in that. Yeah. I've tried barefoot running for a while. That didn't last too long, but I enjoyed it at the time. But there's a different, I think, place for that. But I wouldn't, and also insoles, I would just say scrap that. If a physio says to put insoles in, I'd be very questionable unless you've got a serious problem.
Good. I would probably stick with that. Whenever I've tried to wear what I'm told is corrective, that's when I get more injured.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah. I think everyone's designed individually, unless the position of your foot is causing pain, then there's no reason to adjust it. You look at some of the top athletes, and they've got sort of all sorts of collapses going on, but they're still running and they're performing. It's not injuring them because their muscles are strong elsewhere to be able to compensate for that.
Right. Your business hasn't been going that long. How long has it been going?
I've qualified about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So it's all fresh. So I'm taking clients on now. Website's not quite live. Still work in progress. But yeah, taking on clients.
I was going to ask, and you might not have an answer to this. What's your biggest running achievement?
I can't pinpoint one, not one. Well, I was club champion.
Yeah.
Club champion last year, so I was pretty chuffed with that.
And you were part of the winning
relay team, right along with you
for Spaceside's Ultra last year, was it?
Yeah, it was. So that was a great year. I think all runs are achievements. I love it. I did one year. I hadn't done the ultras. I did 3 ultras in a year. For me, that was a big achievement to train around having kids and their activities and all the rest of it. But I do enjoy the longer endurance. I think the sense of achievement of having completed something like that. But then there's the buzz of a shorter run. 5Ks, I'm not too keen on. It's too much like pain. But
I would agree with that. Right, the question that you might not have an answer to is, out of all your guinea pigs or any of your clients in the last 2 weeks, so probably not, without naming anybody, has there been any achievements that you've been super proud of?
Yes. So the new club champion, was one of my guinea pigs. Most of the guinea pigs have gone on to get podium positions and PBs in their age categories. People who have struggled or desperately been so close to getting a podium position have now achieved that. So for me, that's a result. And also not just getting the podium positions, it's people who are running pain-free, who have found their love of running again. People who've come in and just said, just lost my running mojo because it hurts every time I go out. And then having done the 7 weeks, 8 weeks, they're like, I can do this. I feel confident with my running. I'm finding it's easier again.
Yeah.
So
I guess them enjoying it is the achievement.
That is the achievement.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Some people's goal will be to get a PB. Other people, it will be just to get out and be able to enjoy running. And that's what it's all about. Everyone's got their own personal goals. But as long as I can help them achieve that, and that's a real, for me, that's what it's all about. That's why I want to do this.
Yeah.
Because, running is so good for your mind and well-being. And studies show that it's good for preventing onset of so many Alzheimer's, dementia, other diseases. It's just good for your well-being and for mind development. So the more people can be out moving and enjoying it, to me, that's what it's all about.
Good. You mentioned people sitting in front of Xboxes getting overweight and stuff like that. Is nutrition something that you recommend, think about for the future?
Yeah, balanced. Balanced eating.
Yeah.
Healthy, unprocessed food.
What about during a race? Do you personally take gels, real food? What do you
prefer? Real food.
Yeah.
I will take a gel as an emergency. I'll have a couple. I don't like them. I don't know how great they are. In my mind, they're there to have. They're quite useful to have as a little bit. No, I prefer packet of crisps.
Good.
Marathon or Snickers, whatever they're called nowadays.
You're doing a marathon, you're eating a Snickers.
Yeah, that's all. Anything that tastes nice, I think is good.
Okay. Out of all the races that you've done, from back to you personally, what's been your favorite?
Oh man, I love the relay. I love the team, that whole sense of team there, and just the route was beautiful and the different sections. I like the Glencoe Marathon. Love that. That was beautiful. For me, I think it's where it's located. So I've done the Glen Lyon, and so they take you to these places that you might not necessarily go to, and whatever the weather, it's still lovely. So again, I don't think there's one favorite. You just have nice memories of different ones.
Yeah. Is there any races that you have a bucket list that's a race that you want to do?
Probably. There's quite a few out there, but I'd like to do more of the Murray Way series, the individual ones. Yeah. I'd like to do, because it's on our doorstep and it's such a beautiful coastline. And I think we're so lucky to have that. So explore more of that. I'd like to maybe do something like Tour de Mont Blanc, something like that, a bit more in the Alps. I love the Alps.
Yeah.
There's one local one where we go, skiing sometimes, and it says 6,000. It's called 6,000D, so it's 3,000 up, 3,000 down. Love to do that, but I think we just need to get in the mountains and
Having done UTMB, it's unlike anything that you can train for in this country, basically.
Yeah.
You can run up Nevis 4 times and then you're not even at the top of the hills.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's just the whole altitude thing. But that's for another time. I've got plenty of time. When the kids have left home, I can, so that's the other joy is like, I think your whole perception changes. Like I don't need to get a particular time. I'm not there to get on but it's just to get out and enjoy it.
Good. When you are out in nature or on the treadmill or out in the road, do you listen to music, podcasts, or nothing at all?
Never listen to anything.
What about when you have to use the treadmill?
Music. I have some music on, something that keeps me going there.
Yeah.
I need music on the treadmill. But generally out and about, maybe if I was running somewhere around a park at repeated times, I might decide I want something in my ears. But I think running where keep doing that because no one can see where we're running. But it's beautiful where we're running. So I don't feel I need to listen to anything. I do enjoy running with other people sometimes now. I think I used to be a very solitary runner. But now I actually do enjoy on a long run the company of someone else, just talking, and it's nice.
Good. Have you ever DNF'd in a race?
Nope, not yet. Maybe not put myself in that position yet.
Is it something that you're taught to teach your students how to deal with?
No. Interesting question. No. There's people have come and said they have had to DNF and what can they do to prevent that?
It's not just physically,
no,
it's psychologically as well.
Yeah, it's a psychological, it's a whole range of things, isn't it, when you get to that point? But I think the mind is stronger than you think, people think it is. It's got quite a survival instinct kicks in when you think you can't go any further. And then with the long event, it's like, just walk for a bit.
But for some people, that's part of your running training. You have to be taught to not give up. Yeah. I think where we are, here is that's the next stage on from, the initial people coming to
learn how to move properly to achieve it.
Yeah.
And then the next stage, if you get people who are obviously at a different level going, how do I deal with that? And then that's something, just talk about it and finding out what stage are they feeling they can't go any further. Is that a psychological thing? Is that a fueling thing? Is that a hydration thing? What is it that's getting them to that point where they don't think they can go on any further?
Okay. Have you got any pre-race rituals? You must put on your left sock first type thing?
I have to have a bagel with peanut butter and jam on it. That's quite important. I get quite stressy if I do. Or a certain type of bread. I've got to have. I can't just have it. It's got to be a nice, So that, yeah, something like that. My Snickers bar. I have to have that. Quite like some Haribos or jelly sweets. Might not touch them. Might not eat them. But yeah, I generally like to have a selection of food that I can pick from, and I can decide that's what I feel like today. Clothes wise, yeah, socks, probably got to be the right socks. I've got my favourite socks, and I get quite upset when they wear out.
And how do you deal with that if they did wear out? Just buy a new pair.
Just buy a new pair. Have reserves. Have reserves.
What if you turned up to a race and they weren't in your bag? What would you do? Would that be right, race over, giving up? Or would you just deal with it, move on?
I have to deal with it, yeah. Oh, the other thing, hairbands. So I ended up running one, it pinged right at the beginning. So you won't have this problem. But yeah, it was the Balmoral 15. And I think a couple of miles in, my hairband pinged. And I had to run the rest of it with my hair going all over the place, which was, when you've got long hair, it's pretty horrible. So yeah, so I've learned from that was always wear 2 hairbands. So have a contingency, yeah.
You said that you like to run with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody alive or otherwise that you would want to run with?
Ooh. I wouldn't mind going for a run with Eilish Corgan just because she'd be pretty cool. I think some of the women marathon runners at the moment are quite inspiring.
Yep.
So yeah, any other characters? I think it's actually just nice running with lots of different people. I get a lot of out running just people from the club, the New Braziers Running Club. No matter what level they are, you get something out of it. That's my stopwatch somewhere.
Well, the watch says it's time to stop. So there's one last question I was going to ask you. I can't remember what it is. So do you have any regrets in any of the running that you've done or not done? My biggest one would be that I didn't start running earlier.
Okay, yeah. I think more confidence in my running, believing in myself. I was just like, oh, I'm just a recreational runner. And still to this day, probably, or maybe combating nerves before an event, it's dealing with that.
Yeah.
And, talking yourself down a little bit.
So do you still get nervous before racing?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Is it nerves, as in I can't move nerves, or is it excitement?
Excitement nerves. Yeah, but sometimes it's like, why can't I just be like that person who looks like they're just having a nice day out? Probably because I'm a little bit competitive and I want to try and do my best. And yeah, I wouldn't like to go into an event feeling unprepared and just see how it goes.
Right. Well, to wrap it up, your business is
BMA running, breathe, move, achieve.
Is it open for clients at the moment?
It's open for clients of any background, any problems, any running ability, any age.
How do they find out more about it?
Well, at the moment, They just have to try and contact me somehow. But I will be launching my website imminently, which will be bmarunning.com. I'll have an Insta page, which will be not kicking off at the same time. So that will all be coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Well, thank you, Debbie, and thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.